lead for tonight's Jack REILLY Holiday Tournament Day 1 game between the Passaic Indians and the Fort Lee Bridgemen. Now for today's starting lineups. First for the visiting Indians. Number 1, Joshua Santiago. Number 2, Assad Adams. Number 3, Justin Griffin. Number 4, Jeremy Urena. And number 32, Elijah Ruiz. Head coach, Paul Palmiquela. And now the starting lineup for your Fort Lee Bridgemen. Number 3, Nave Murray. Number 4, Guy Vickers. Number 5, Max Greenberg. Number 10, Jake Ehrlich. And number 15, Jacob Greenberg. Head coach, Josh Moore. At this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome here to East Gymnasium on the campus of Fort Lee High School for our fourth and final game of day number 1 of the 2024 Jack REILLY Holiday Basketball Tournament, as it's a matchup featuring the Passaic Indians, 0-2 on the season, and the Fort Lee Bridgemen, a perfect 3-0 overall this year. Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Long, joined courtside alongside the legend that is John Ziemba, former Fort Lee head coach, joining us alongside Renee Matisich and Dimitri Nanis. And Coach, it's an honor to have you here to call this game here today. And for Josh Ford, first year at his alma mater as the head coach, 3 straight wins to start off this campaign, and now an opportunity to do a little damage here in this holiday tournament.
Thank you, Dan. Josh is, one thing Josh is going to instill in his team, he's going to instill discipline and intensity. That's how he was as a player, and I know these kids, if they're listening to Josh, and they're going to play hard, and they're going to get better as the year goes on.
Fort Lee trying to become that final team that will play in the semifinals. The winner of this game will play Memorial tomorrow at 5:45 in our second semifinal. The first semifinal will feature a great matchup of Oltapan taking on Wayne Valley. Fort Lee in their home black with the orange numbers, as Jacob Greenberg's foul line jumper is off the mark, while Passaic is in their road white with the red and blue trim down the sides. Indians looking for their first win of the season. They've had losses against Teaneck and DePaul Catholic to start off their 2024-25 campaign. Here is a long-range 3, and that would have been good from college range by Justin Griffin, and Passaic jumps out to an early 3-0 lead, Coach.
Yeah, a lot of both teams playing zone. You see a lot of that now. Kids have to get familiar in how to attack a zone, but that makes it look good when you hit a 3 from that distance.
And up and down we go as more points coming here for Passaic and Fort Lee. After Guy Vickers had made that last shot for the Bridgemen, Passaic answered immediately to extend their lead now to a 5-2 margin. It's going to be a foul on the floor, so wave off the basket for Max Greenberg.
That's the other way to beat the zone is what Passaic just did. They beat it down the floor and before the defense could set up.
Fort Lee inbounding it. Bridgman back home for the first time since their season opener as Ehrlich's three is no good. In that opener against Paramus, it was Max Greenberg uncorking a long-range three with about 4 seconds left to go in the game that gave Fort Lee a thrilling come-from-behind victory. Rebound by Vickers now gives the offense the chance to set up here for the Bridgemen.
The thing is, so far, too, Fort Lee's gotten good shots, but obviously they got to give Vickers the ball. He looks like, in this kind of game, he could be a real problem underneath. He hasn't touched the ball yet, though.
Ehrlich's mid-range jumper no good after Vickers was just standing as a bystander on the sideline. Ruiz had the rebound. That three on the near side by Jeremy Urena was off the mark. Here's Guy Vickers. Good idea was trying to flip that underneath the rim to Jacob Greenberg, but that pass off the mark, and that'll go out of bounds for a turnover.
Fort Lee looks like they're in a little 1-3-1 half-court trap, trying to slow Passaic down a little bit.
Good ball movement here. Finding the open man from three as Passaic fires deep and rebounded underneath by Ehrlich. Not a lot of chances there, Coach, for offensive rebounding for the Indians after they've just been launching from deep.
Well, that's the thing, too. When you're against the zone, kids get very happy to just, shoot the three, and the coaches like a little bit more ball movement than just taking the first open three. And like you just said, that way there's no offensive rebounding.
On that last possession also, Coach, for Fort Lee, I would think that you could find a better shot than what Vickers had at that offering, kind of the fadeaway on the baseline. I know that he's going up against a big player inside of the heart of the Passaic zone, but I think you want to have him spot up a little better.
Yeah, you definitely want to see him get around the basket and get into the paint, get fouled a little bit. But we'll see if he gets a little bit more.
And that's a nice transition hoop and one that time for Max Greenberg. The hoop and the harm and a chance at the traditional three-point play. A rare time that Fort Lee got a chance, Coach, to get out and run.
Both teams, when they push the ball off a defensive rebound, have gotten easy baskets so far. And again, that's the easiest way to beat the zone is try to beat it down the court.
Greenberg was the hero against Paramus. That game-winning three, 11 points in that game, had 16 points recently against Passaic Charter. Misfires on the foul shot, so we'll settle for the two. It's a 5-4 lead for the Indians of Passaic. These two teams met in this tournament back on December 27, 2022. Fort Lee came away with a 10-point win that year. And there's a good-looking three on the near side for Rasad Adams. Adams, Coach, averaging 21 points per game early on this season for the Indians.
Those threes are pretty uncontested, so Fort Lee's going to have to actually, get out on them a little bit more. Those are, get a hand in the face, especially on Adams, who you said's averaging, he's averaging 21 a game.
21 a game, coming off a 20-point performance against DePaul, had 22 in the losing effort against Teaneck. As Murray picked up the foul on the weak side, trying an offensive rebound. That was his first, team second, so both teams with 2 fouls apiece in the early goings here as we're coming up already on the midway point of the first quarter. 8-4 lead for Passaic. We've seen 3 lopsided games so far in this tournament in day one. Will this be the most competitive of the games? Tipped around, and Max Greenberg comes down with a loose ball rebound.
Seems like every shot for Passaic is a three, except the one time they had a break and they got a layup off pushing the ball.
Is that just the normal evolution of the game of basketball now, Coach, that you see everyone is three-point happy?
Kids watch the NBA, and that's all they do in the NBA, and, you fall in love with it, but can you win like that consistently? I don't know. You know, it's tough. And when you see the 2-3 zone, I mean, like I said, I think they've taken maybe 2 shots besides 3-pointers.
That time it looked like Guy Vickers was fouled as he was fading away with the jump shot. Vickers swishes home the first made foul shot. He had 15 points recently against Passaic Charter. At a season best, 26 points against Passaic Valley this season.
Vickers is a guy, you know, with the loss of a couple guys due to graduation, he's got to be the leader. He's got to be the one who's getting that double-double every night for Fort Lee.
Full court pressure for the Bridgemen, and that's easily answered by Passaic as it found its way into the hands of Jeremy Urena, and a nice assist to the big man, Elijah Ruiz.
The big guy did a nice job not dribbling the ball.
Speaking of big guys, and that's Guy Vickers with a foot on the line, showing off his range.
Very impressive there from Vickers.
6 of Fort Lee's 8 points coming courtesy of Guy Vickers. But again, Fort Lee falling asleep with that full court pressure, leading to the easy lay-in for Ruiz.
Yeah, the guy on the opposite side isn't dropping. And, you know, Passaic seems a little quicker right now.
And Passaic turning Fort Lee over, leading to a couple of easy lay-ins. And a timeout's going to be necessary for Fort Lee as the Bridgemen will talk things over. 2:46 left to go in the first quarter. And Passaic on top of Fort Lee 14-8 here in the first day action of the 2024 Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. (14-8), the lead for Passaic in the early goings here against Fort Lee. Bridgemen trying to avoid being the first home team in this tournament in this first day of action to actually lose. And there's a bad turnover off the hands of Jacob Greenberg, out of bounds. Possession back over to Passaic.
Fort Lee has a couple turnovers, and in this kind of game, if Fort Lee gets set in their defense, you know, they're going to be able to hold their own, because I don't see Passaic getting too many second shots. But there's no defense to the turnover. I call them pick six turnovers when the other team gets it and can go right in and score. Those are backbreakers.
Let's see how Fort Lee defends in the half court here. There's a pull-up jumper, and that is a nice-looking outside shot for Assad Adams. Adams continuing to drain it here today.
That's a real nice under-control shot by Adams. You can see why he's scoring what he is, over 20 points a game.
Passaic now doubling up Fort Lee here in the first quarter, 16-8. Coming into the game for the first time, Christian Bruden off the Fort Lee bench. Vickers skying for the rebound inside. Vickers kind of got jammed trying to reverse it inside the lane on the opposite side of the rim. There's Bruden with the hustle play. Vickers alone by himself the other way for the easy two.
Bruden, who probably doesn't get a lot of credit on the scoring part of the game. He just made a huge play to stop this from going up 10. It makes a hustle play to get him, right back in the game.
Looks like Fort Lee dropping into more of the man-to-man look right now.
Yeah, it looks like they're going man. Oh, jeez.
And that time, just using his body to full advantage, that time was Joshua Santiago, number 1. He had the edge on Vickers, but if Guy went straight up, he wouldn't have had the body bump there that would have caused that foul.
Yeah, Guy fouled him. He definitely fouled him, and the kid had a little bit of a jump, and he was running at him. Got to get a little better weak side help there, but the kid was pretty quick to the basket.
As Santiago rattles in the first foul shot, he had 5 points, 7 assists in the loss against Teaneck. outside of Ruiz, this is a Passaic team coach that doesn't look like they have an abundance of size. So they have to use that speed and that moxie to try to get them through the opponents.
Yes, and they're playing, in the conference they're playing in. You got to be able to rebound, and I'm sure in some games that's going to hurt them. But they seem to be playing really hard, and like I said, they're causing Fort Lee a little problem with their pressure.
Bridgman down by 8 as we're under a minute left to go in the first quarter. Extra pass, Neve Murray in the corner, no good. Vickers with another offensive rebound. Vickers trying to jump stop inside. Nice move there. Guy Vickers with 10 of Fort Lee's 12 points in the quarter.
That's a real nice move. Under control. Didn't go, 2 dribbles, jump stop. Real solid move by Vickers. Fort Lee's just hanging in there. And, they made some mistakes, but they're still all right here.
Under 25 seconds left to go in the first quarter. A little helter-skelter, and it's leading to a Bruden steal. But then he couldn't control it cleanly. It went off his hands last. So possession going back over to Passaic. Fort Lee has started off their season, coach. 3 straight wins right out of the gate for the first time since the 2012-2013 season.
This kid Bruton is putting a little life into Fort Lee. Hopefully they get the last shot here.
Here's Vickers. He elects to take the shot right away. Still had time. Murray was trying to sky for the rebound. Did get fouled after trying to corral the loose board. So we'll have 8 seconds left for Fort Lee.
That's a little bit early for the shot. And this is a tough thing for kids to realize. You want the last shot at the end of the quarter.
Passaic, good anticipation, and Coach Ford not happy with that lack of execution. Nearly led to a breakaway. 6 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. The lead is 6 right now for Passaic. They've led by as many as 8. Here's Max Greenberg. What a nice shot. Off balance, one-legged. And that's a little momentum there, Coach, for Fort Lee to build on as we head to the end of the first quarter. A 4-point lead for Passaic after 1. It's 18-14 Indians. Stick around as we'll be back for the start of the second quarter here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel.
It's a nice finish to the quarter for Fort Lee, getting that basket at the end. That was a real nice shot by Greenberg.
(18-14) lead for Passaic as we get underway the start of the second quarter. Dan Long, John Ziemba on the call here alongside Renee Matisich and Dimitri Nanis for the last game of day number 1 of this 2024 Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. Winner will play Memorial in the semifinals. As this ball is tracked down to the near side by Ruiz, but it's stolen away by Vickers. Here's Guy Vickers in the open floor. Jump pass, and eventually it finds its way, fortuitously enough, back to Vickers. He's got 12.
Vickers is some athlete. I mean, he ran the floor there, but again, the kid Bruton is making things happen. He's got his hands on every ball.
Christian Bruden, who much like Guy Vickers, came to Fort Lee last season after beginning their high school careers at Bergen Catholic. The energy spark off the bench for Coach Ford. Here's Max Greenberg. What a lead pass. Extra pass found Bruden. Up top to Greenberg inside. Oh, tic-tac-toe passing. Finding its way to Neve Murray.
Fort Lee is really sharing the ball, and Vickers is impressive as not only as a scorer, but he could pass the ball, and he's under control for a big guy like that.
18-18, 8-0 run right now here by Fort Lee after it was an 18-10 lead just a couple of moments ago for the Indians. This is exactly what you said, Coach. Fort Lee is dominating when it's in the half court. When it's more helter-skelter, that's to Passaic's liking. Half-court defense has been solid here for Coach Ford. Fort Lee on the season allowing only 45 points per game.
Well, their coach was Defensive Player of the Year his senior year in the NJAC, so I'm sure they worked very hard at his senior year at Rand Paul College. I know he was the Defensive Player of the Year, so I'm sure he stresses that.
And it's going to be a foul. It looks like a moving screen underneath against Passaic. So possession goes back over to the Bridgemen.
Fort Lee switching to the man. It allows Vickers to sort of play a one-man zone in the middle because I don't think he really has to go out and guard number 32, and it's changed the game a little bit.
What do you try to do here breaking down offensively if you're Fort Lee?
Well, they look like now they're trying to hit Vickers. Vickers is catching the ball on the post, and then he's a very good passer.
Jacob Greenberg, the recipient of that pass, like you said, Coach, from Guy Vickers, is playing a little point forward now up top.
He catches the ball, he keeps it up high, and then he don't wait. He distributes it.
And that's a good take to the rim that time by Justin Griffin. He got fouled as it rattled in and out. Griffin, who had 5 points in that first quarter, will try to stop the bleeding here as it's been an 11-0 run for Fort Lee. That's given the Bridgemen a 3-point advantage. Griffin sinks the first foul shot, 13.5 points per game to start off this season for number 3, coming off a 20-point performance in a losing effort against DePaul Catholic. Elijah Ruiz, the big man for Passaic, will take a breather. And Vickers will chin that rebound.
I mean, Passaic is really small right now. Let's see if we could get. Fort Lee's got to shorten the passes against the zone. Those kind of passes, these guys are too quick. They'll get those.
And you could see when Fort Lee coach has been doing the touch passes and being unselfish and quick decisions, it's really befuddled Passaic. That was a good entry pass inside. Bruton trying to volleyball it back up top. Murray got it stolen away as well. And eventually it looks like it's going to stay with Fort Lee, or are they going to give the possession back over to Passaic? And it looks like the Indians will be receiving possession.
I feel like the kid Bruton turned the game around, though, just with a couple hustle plays. And, you know, if kids know their roles, a lot of times that isn't the way, but he seems to know what his role is. He brings a lot of energy.
Bringing the juice off the bench right now as he is one guarding against Assad Adams. Adams, who had 7 quick points in the first quarter. There's going to be a foul on the floor, and it looks like Justin Griffin is starting to take over this game in the second quarter, as that foul will go against Jacob Greenberg, his first, team second for Fort Lee here in the second quarter.
Griffin that's a pretty good move off the dribble. He kept his dribble down very low, and he's pretty quick, but I still think Fort Lee is better off here staying in the man.
Nice move and one finish there for Passaic. They drew the slide of the defensive moves, and then eventually it found its way inside to Joshua Nieves, who's the 6'2 junior backup center, and he has a chance at a three-point play.
I don't know if Fort Lee was in a 2-3 zone there, or some of the guys thought they were in man, but they looked a little confused. You hate getting beat out of, and you could see Coach Ford's face, you hate getting beat on an out-of-bounds play under your own basket.
And to make matters worse, Coach, for Max Greenberg, that was his third personal foul. So we're not even at the midway point of the second quarter. He's going to have to take a seat. Murray's three, no good. Bruton tipped it out to Ehrlich, and Ehrlich playing a game of hot potato with his teammate. Saving the possession. Where's the offense going to come from here?
Still got to run everything through Bruton. I would say he's got to touch the ball every possession.
There's Vickers, as they were trying to get it to him.
Vickers, excuse me. I say Bruton. I'm so Bruton has made
Bruton
such
was
an
right there as
impression.
well.
I'm calling his name all the time because he made such an impression.
It will be a foul whistle against Passaic on the floor, as that looks to be the second personal foul against Justin Griffin. So that's a concern for Coach Paul Pamacala, head coach of Passaic. The Indians last season produced their first winning season since 2019, going 15-13. A little out of control there on that running attempt by Christian Rea.
Now, Ehrlich's a young player, but the coach is here. Everybody says he could shoot the ball a little bit. It'd be nice to see if he could, spot up and make a three for Fort Lee.
And there's a tie-up. Is going to be a foul, though, against Passaic. Coach Pomacalo is incredulous. He thought that it was all ball and it was just a tie-up. For the men in the stripes, Coach, are they always right?
I hope they're listening. They're always right. I've learned the hard way. They're always right.
We know that even from our broadcast coverage in the volleyball season, you have to be on your best behavior with some of these officials now. Here's Bruden off to Murray to the near side. Murray drew a lot of defenders. Maybe he had that one last pass he needed to get to Vickers. Just couldn't uncork it. 21-21. 3.5 minutes left to go in a fun first half of play.
Very good game. Both teams, they seem pretty even here. And, this looks like this may be your closest game of the day.
Here's Ehrlich.
I'd like to see Ehrlich get one here. That's a nice pass, though.
Vickers, nice move.
They can't stop that.
Unbelievable instincts there by Guy Vickers. Did not hesitate at all. He was holding on to his elbow after that as well. 14 points in the first half for number 4 in black and orange. 23-21, lead back to 2 here for the Bridgemen. Passaic is led by as many as 8. Step back 3, it's good. Joshua Santiago from downtown, he's got 5.
Got to live with that. That's a tough shot. You got to give the kid credit. This kid's pretty quick too, number 1.
Here's Vickers, turnaround jumper. Oh, what range, just outside the foul line. He's got a nice touch here, Coach, for a big man. 16 in the game for Vickers.
Every time he touches the ball, something good happens. He's taking good shots. He's setting up his teammates.
What about that fearless move by Santiago? He showed off the outside game, now the inside.
Little guy is fearless. Drove right at him. He's making things happen for Passaic.
There's Vickers again. Oh, silky smooth shooting touch. He's on fire. 18 points for Guy Vickers.
If they keep letting him catch the ball there, he's going to get 40. He's catching the ball right in the middle of the lane, and, for him, that's an easy shot.
No real shot blockers for either team in this contest today. Vickers has been known to average close to around 2 blocks a game, but outside of him, nobody else. Swing pass, somehow found an opening to Passaic. Nobody boxed out underneath, and that led to Christian Rea cleaning up on the glass. Easy putback, gives Passaic back the lead at 1.
Yeah, that hurts because they forced him into a bad shot.
Here's Rea again with a hustle play and a steal. Tries to go with the floater, no good. Murray could not strongly get that out, but it caroms out into the hands of Jacob Greenberg. Look at Passaic trying to track him down from behind. Greenberg kind of sensing that on his backside. Put up a rush shot, no good. Here's Passaic in the open floor. Things a little unsettled now. That's just to Passaic's liking. And weaving his way through was Urena. He got the contact and will head to the foul line, stopping the clock with 64 seconds left in the first half.
That's what Passaic wants. They want the game to be a little helter-skelter because then that's how Vickers gets lost and doesn't touch the ball. So if I was the Passaic coach, again, he's probably going to come with some kind of press after this because every time, like I said, Vickers gets the ball, something good happens for Fort Lee.
Urena switches home the first foul shot. Had 8 points, 10 rebounds did Urena in the season opener, a loss at Teaneck. As Urena knocks in a pair.
Just like at the end of the first quarter, Fort Lee's got to be careful here. They don't want to take take a couple bad shots, turn it over, and let this lead, get up over 3.
3-point deficit under a minute left to go. Vickers, nice underneath look. Rush shot, though, initially by Bruden. Finished off with a putback lay-in by Neve Murray.
Coach Ford got to put the Vickers rule in at halftime. He's got to touch the ball every time. And if he does, they're going to get a good shot.
He just collapses the defense on him if he can't just knock down the jumper. He's been so good with his passing, too. It's been a Guy Ficker
That was a
show.
great bounce pass he threw. You know, for big guys to throw a pass like that, it doesn't happen all the time. He gets it right through.
Rudin was trying to gamble that time and go for the interception. Juggled underneath. Passaic looking like they want to hold for the final shot of the half. 9 seconds left to go in the half now. Urena on the baseline. Up and under, left it short at the rim. Last touch out of bounds. So it'll go over to Fort Lee with only 3.7 seconds left to go.
See if Fort Lee could get something. Hit Vickers right here. Oh.
Ehrlich from half court. Off the backboard, no good. But what a fun and entertaining first half. And, Coach, this is an actual competitive game here today at the Jack Riley Holiday Tournament.
Excellent half. Both teams playing very hard, and I would think this game's going to stay tight throughout.
So Passaic will take a 1-point lead into the halftime locker room on top of Fort Lee by a score of 30-29. We ask you to stick around and join us for the start of the second half of play. And special thanks, of course, to all of our proud sponsors as seen here on your screen that help make these broadcasts possible. Stick around as we'll be back for more here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Welcome back, everybody, here as we're moments away from the resumption of play in the start of the second half. Fort Lee trailing Passaic by a score of 30-29. Passaic led 18-14 after the first quarter. Fort Lee outscored them 15-12 in the second, but still trail by 30-29 as we get to the start of the third quarter of play. I'm Dan Long, joined courtside and special guest here today by legendary head coach John Ziemba here from Fort Lee, where he was the boys basketball coach for so many years. Was the coach of Josh Ford, who was the current head coach of the Bridgemen. And Coach Ziemba also still coaches as the varsity volleyball coach here at Fort Lee. Guy Vickers with a game-high 18 points leading the charge for Fort Lee in that first half. Joshua Santiago and Hassan Adams with 7 points apiece for Passaic as we are underway. Fort Lee in their home black and orange, in the road white with the red and blue is Passaic, and there's a turnover forced by Elijah Ruiz to start off the third quarter.
That's the first time Vickers got it taken, but he caught it up a little higher where the guards are, and they were able to get their hands on it.
So Ruiz gets it done on one end of the floor and gets paid off on the other end with the jump ball, and Ruiz just camped out behind Vickers, lays it in. 3-point lead for Passaic. Max Greenberg back on the floor after he had to sit with his 3 fouls. Finds his brother Jacob, who swishes in his second made 3 of the game.
The Greenberg kids are tough. They don't let the ball get ripped out of their hands. That's a big shot right there. And, they're just strong kids, and they play very hard.
Only the second made 3 coach this entire game for Fort Lee, both coming from Jacob Greenberg. And that 3 is well off the mark, as that is an air ball shot out of bounds by Passaic. And here come the Indians with the full court pressure.
They're picking it up now. They're extending the pressure. The little guy just flopped, acting like Vickers is. Yeah, the little guy's getting a little too aggressive there, number 1.
Jacob Greenberg getting to Ehrlich. Ehrlich has yet to score in this game. Max Greenberg holding on to it, trying to shift gears throughout the lane. Clearing it out. Getting it up top to Jacob. Ehrlich. Vickers was not an option. Patient offensive set here in a tie game, 32-32. That's a kicked ball. Will still be possession here with the Bridgemen.
Number 1, he don't back down. He's getting right on Vickers. He's trying to get him to take a little shot at him here. Vickers got to play under control, got to watch it.
And that pass is intercepted by Griffin. Good anticipation by number 3. Sails to the rim. Too strong on the layup attempt. Urena with the follow-up, and he draws the foul, and will head to the line to shoot 2. Once again, it's that broken play where it's just the turnover that leads to the fast break offense the other way, Coach, and they don't even have to worry about going against that settled 5-on-5 defense in the half court for Fort Lee.
That's exactly the hardest thing in high school or in any sport is to go against a set defense in basketball. So when you got them back, Vickers isn't around. They got a second shot. They put one up. They got it back. And, that's what the turnovers do.
First missed foul shot of the game for Passaic. They miss a pair, and then inside, is that going to be an offensive foul? It looks like against Elijah Ruiz.
Coach Ford getting on his guys a little bit, and he should. They don't seem to have that energy. He might have to go with is Bruton in there, or
I don't believe
he might
so.
have to go with Bruton again to just help him pick up the energy.
Coach Ford back to his original starting 5. Ehrlich getting it down to Vickers. Vickers again, 18 points in the first half. Airmailed that pass after he was trying to skip it off to the near side to Neve Murray. So turnover starting to pile up here for the Bridgemen to start off this second half of play. 2 minutes gone by, tie score 32-32. What type of defense right now is Coach Ford dropping the Bridgemen into?
Yeah, they're in a basic 2-3. They're coming out on the wings. And, again, Bruton's around the basket.
Griffin might shoot them out of that zone if he continues to unleash at that rate. His second made 3 of the game. He's got 9.
You know, that it's not an easy shot. I mean, that was a long shot. You got to live with that sometimes. That's what they need right there. They need Ehrlich to make that shot.
There's the first main basket of the game for the sophomore, Jake Ehrlich with his first three. And both teams trading trays, and it's a 35-35 game. Here's Griffin again from deep. No good this time. Good tip out underneath by Ruiz. Layup is left short at the rim, and Vickers finally tips it out to his teammate Max Greenberg. There's Vickers running the lane, and one! Guy Vickers up to 20 points in this game, and a chance at a traditional three-point play.
You know, he's got some athletic ability, and when he runs the floor like that, you don't see a lot of big guys who can do that. And to finish that play, that's a real nice play. He's working very hard.
He took a tumble, too. I was worried at first, but he popped right back up. As Vickers will complete the three-point play. He's got 21 points now in this game. He's a perfect 3 for 3 at the foul line. 38-35. Fort Lee going on a 6-0 run.
See what happened, too. Passaic hit that long three, and it's sort of like we call that fool's gold sometimes, because then the kid comes down on the next one and takes another long one. And the percentages just aren't great. We'll see right here, though. There we go. There's a miss and a rebound. So,
good box out underneath by Jacob Greenberg. So it's exactly what you're saying, Coach Ciemba, that it's forcing Passaic into feeling like they are going to consistently shoot and get those opportunities from deep. They're not even trying to establish something inside.
And when Passaic has got offensive rebounds, it's because one of their players has driven to the basket. Somebody had to come help, and that's how they've gotten offensive rebounds. That's a real nice move.
What about that move by Jacob Greenberg? He split through the heart of the defense, switched over to his left hand, went high off the glass, and good. Jacob Greenberg with 8 points, 5 of which have come in this third quarter alone, and that will elicit the timeout on the floor by Passaic. Fort Lee with their largest lead of the game at 5, 40-35 here in the third quarter. And again, we'd like to thank all of our great sponsors here of our Fort Lee Bridgman Athletics broadcast, as well as the sponsors of this Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. If Fort Lee is victorious, they will be playing in the second semifinal tomorrow at 5:45 against Memorial, the defending Holiday Tournament champions. In our first semifinal of the day, it's going to be a great game. Old Japan taking on Wayne Valley, who were both dominant in their first-round victories earlier today. The loser of this game will take on Bergenfield in a consolation game tomorrow.
Let's see if Passaic comes with something different. Fort Lee looks like a little 1-3-1. I don't know. They're just playing out higher.
Looks like Passaic throughout the game, Coach, just been content with having Elijah Ruiz, number 32, just kind of playing a little behind Guy Vickers, behind that zone, hoping to get it to him on the baseline.
Yeah, he's sitting behind the zone. Vickers is sort of almost baiting him into getting the ball, because I think Vickers feels like that he could contest his shot.
Passaic missed an opportunity, a glorious one at that, early at the rim, and then a strip produced by the Fort Lee defense afterwards. Nothing coming easily right now against this Fort Lee half-court defense. Here's Ehrlich open in the corner for three, no good. That would have been enormous to give Fort Lee potentially an 8-point advantage.
That was a big shot, but Ehrlich's looking for his shot now, so I wouldn't doubt if he makes the next one.
That was a feed, and then it went off the hands of Elijah Ruiz. He's trying to say he was physically held there by one of the Fort Lee players. But it's kind of interesting that Assad Adams, after having a red-hot start to this game, Coach, he's more now a passer, and that's to the detriment of his team. It's almost like he's too unselfish.
Yeah, he's got to score for them. And the Passaic coach is a little upset, and Fort Lee's getting their hands in on everything. I sort of get the same way on something like that. I'd be saying, they can't be hitting the ball every time, but you know what? That's Josh's aggressiveness, and there's another great pass.
How about, exactly, that was going to be a good wide open shot from about 15 feet out for Jacob Greenberg. He passed up a good shot for a great shot for his teammate in Vickers, who now has a game-high 23.
What I like is they're sharing the ball, and Vickers passes the ball. He doesn't force it, and the kids return the favor, and they get it back to him.
Contested shot that time, and Josh Ford unhappy with how his team did not recover in time. Josh Santiago, the senior guard, trying to take it upon himself to get his team back in the thick of things here. His team is down by 7, 42-35. Picking up that foul was Ehrlich. That is his second, team second of the third quarter.
The number one for Passaic, he seems to be their energy guy, and he's not going to back down. He's going to try to be more aggressive as the game goes on, especially if they fall behind.
Especially as a senior. Santiago goes 2 for 2 at the line that time. He's 4 for 4 at the charity stripe in this game. He's got 9 points for the Indians. Leading scorer. Murray goes right to the rim, but overshoots it. Rebounded by Passaic. So the Indians got what they wanted, speeding Fort Lee up, and there's Adams going coast to coast to lay it in. He's got 9 as well.
Yeah, you just said it. He's the kid who could really get them going. That's a nice move right there.
4-0 spurt right now for Passaic has cut this lead down to 3, 42-39.
They got to make sure the big guy touches the ball here.
Here's Jacob Greenberg. Cross-court pass to Bruden, who's come back into the game. Max Greenberg close to the half-court stripe. Will settle things down. Passaic is flying around the floor right now, trying to wreak havoc. Bruden, dribble drive. Picks up his dribble. Here's Jacob Greenberg. Pulls up from the elbow, and he gets it to go. Jacob Greenberg has brought that secondary scoring option. He's got 10 in the game.
Very impressed with him. He gave a nice pass fake, shot fake, whatever you want, and he got the defense to jump, and he ends up with a wide-open elbow jump shot.
Here's Griffin from deep, and he has been that consistent three-point scorer. That is his third make from three-point range. He's got a game-high 12 for Passaic.
There's not much defense for that. That's a bomb. That's a long shot. You almost got to live with that if you're playing a zone.
Every one of his threes here today, Coach, has been good from college three-point range. He has not been right at the line. He has been well behind it.
Yeah, those are, like I said, Coach Ford can't, there's not much you could do about that. Like I said, if you're in the zone, you got to give up something, and that's a long shot.
Passaic down by only 2, 44-42. Fort Lee is led by as many as 7 in this game.
Again, the end of the quarter situation. Passaic is, I think, doing a smart thing. They got to start to make a move with about 8 seconds because you want that last shot.
Not doing anything just yet. Adams into the corner to Griffin. Griffin with the head and shoulder fake, fadeaway jumper, no good. Tipped around, and I think that's a case of Passaic just did not give themselves enough time for a potential offensive rebound to do something with it. And Fort Lee will take a 2-point lead with them into the start of the fourth quarter. 44-42, the Bridgmen on top. Coach, what type of adjustments have you seen from Coach Ford and the Bridgmen to now put them in the driver's seat heading to the fourth quarter?
One thing Fort Lee has done, when they get the ball to the elbow against the zone, I see it looks like they've moved the big guy Vickers back more under the basket. He was catching the ball right in the middle of the lane in the first quarter, and I guess Passaic trying to take that away. I think they're trying to hit the ball to the elbow and then dump it down to him on the block, which they did once or twice. And, hey, Passaic, their points are going to come off turnovers and from 25-foot three-point shots. So, we got an interesting final 8 minutes.
Justin Griffin, the leading scorer for Passaic. He's got 12. Hassan Adams and Josh Santiago, each with 9 points apiece. For Fort Lee on the other side, Guy Vickers with a game-high 23. Jacob Greenberg with 10 points. And here we are, Fort Lee, no strangers to the nail-biting finishes here already this season. They had the 40-39 win at home in their opener against Paramus, now trying to take down Passaic and make this a 4-0 start to the season.
Yeah, Coach Ford is getting his team ready, especially with not a lot of time in the preseason. I'm very impressed in what I'm seeing. And that Paramus win surprised a lot of people because Paramus is very well coached, real tough team. That was a great win for them to open with.
Winner of this game plays Memorial tomorrow at 5:45 in the other semifinal. Offensive rebound underneath, and then the shuffling of the feet will lead to a turnover for Passaic before they could even attempt a follow-up shot.
Fort Lee's not getting a block out on the weak side. The kid's running in and getting a full running start. If they get somebody, you got to put a body on them.
Here's a double team quickly coming to Max Greenberg. You can see how Passaic is just trying to throw the whole kitchen sink at Fort Lee, and Guy Vickers misses a hook shot inside the lane. Here's Adams in the open floor. Passaic loves to run, and they finish it off with a Urena layup. It's a tie game at 44 all.
That was a nice move by Vickers. He just missed it, and Passaic is fast. See, they got the Fort Lee kids shooting a little too quick right now.
Jacob Greenberg short on the mid-range jumper. And there's a nice dish inside, and that leads to the lead for Elijah Ruiz and Passaic. They're just simply sending a double team at the ball right here. It's like a blitz in football.
Yeah, they just tried to pick it up.
Vickers went to the left hand and missed.
This could starting to get away from Fort Lee a little, even though it's only a 2-point game. They got to settle back down.
Adams got stripped. Was it going to be deemed to be in the act of shooting? We'll find out, as a foul is against Fort Lee. But it's amazing how just simply Passaic running a couple players right at Fort Lee and even yelling as they're doing so has changed the complexion of this game a bit as Fort Lee got a little frantic.
Yeah, you could just see they're picking up. Like you said, they're talking on defense. They're yelling, they're screaming, they're going at you, and that's another thing that's missed a lot. Like, kids don't talk enough. You got to be vocal. You got to be talking to your teammates, and it seemed to pick all of them up a little bit.
Now, if you're in charge of Fort Lee like you were for so long here, what are you telling your offense upon seeing, okay, now anytime that you cross by midcourt, they're throwing a double team at whoever's holding onto the ball? What do you tell your offense to negate that?
Number one, the guy who's coming to get the passes got to meet the ball. And that's another thing. Like, kids look like they're open, maybe on a cut, but you have to come meet the ball because these Passaic kids are very quick and they'll cut in front of you. And number one thing against this kind of pressure is if you got to move the ball from one side to the other. If they can keep it on one side of the floor, that's usually how they'll get a steal. If they could swing it, they're going to get an open three.
Hassan Adams swishes home the first foul shot. He's got 10 points now in this game. Remember, Fort Lee went up by 7 points near the end of that third quarter, and Passaic has gone on a bit of a run here.
You still got to go through Vickers.
No double team coming yet for Passaic. Those guards are trying to take over this game up top. There's Jacob Greenberg. Santiago all over him, and he's forced into a turnover. Here's Griffin the other way, and Griffin goes in for the layup.
The Fort Lee kids look a little tentative on the perimeter, and Passaic is just pushing out more and more.
Max Greenberg, a long-range three, no good. 5-point lead now for Passaic as the Indians have taken over this game to start off the fourth quarter. It was a 2-point lead for Fort Lee coming into the fourth quarter. They are still stuck on that 44-point mark. They have yet to score here in the final quarter of regulation.
You see number one on Passaic. He's running around high-fiving all his teammates. He's definitely their energy guy.
Vickers calling for the ball, but Fort Lee unable to get it to him. Kind of been surprised they haven't had Vickers moving around a little bit more, too. He's dangerous as the point forward of this team. Now they try to force feed him inside, and it's stolen away. Once again, Ruiz got a piece of it. Adams secured the steal. Griffin for three. No good. Ehrlich alone on the near side block for the rebound.
See, Passaic was doing good driving the ball to the basket, and then they were getting second shots. They're not going to get a second shot off of that. This is where the ball's got to go.
Vickers inside and one. And he does a push-up afterwards for good measures. Guy Vickers, coach 25-point night.
Well, the thing is, if they are extending the pressure, then Vickers has got to be, he's got to be one-on-one with the kid in the post, and he's just burying the kid under the basket. Easier said than done, though. They're extending the pressure. If Fort Lee can get it into Vickers, he's going to be able to do that.
But it looks like the game plan for Passaic is they're feeling our guards are better than Fort Lee's guards. They're just going to try to speed them up, and when they speed them up, they usually speed them into mistakes.
That's what they're hoping for. But like I've been saying all game, when Vickers touches it, something good happens.
No one paying attention to Ruiz underneath.
Somebody was not in their area right there.
Ruiz with 8 points.
Can't allow that. That's after you make a nice 3-point play. That hurts.
4-point game now for Passaic and a reach-in foul against the Indians. So Guy Vickers, they completed that 3-point play, giving him 26 points in this game. But then nobody was paying attention to Elijah Ruiz on the press break, and he just simply laid it in for the easiest of two.
And each team's got one team foul. The officials are letting them go a little bit. They're not calling, just little touch fouls. You got to earn it. And if you're not strong with the ball, he came down and smacked them. If he didn't come down, he smacked them. That's a foul. If he goes straight up, it's not a foul. But once he lowered his arm, I don't want to give too much credit to the officials because then they think I'm lying. But their supervisor, Mark Batard, does a very good training these guys and working with them.
That was a strong move by Neve Murray, getting right to the rim to draw the contact, stop the clock as well. As he knocks down his first foul shot, Murray with 5 points here this evening. 51-48 lead now for Passaic, and that is the third team foul, Coach. Do you like the change that was made recently in high school basketball? No longer the single bonus, double bonus, and it's just the 5 foul limit in each quarter?
I'm like probably 95% of the coaches. I don't like it at all. The 1-and-1 just made the games, so much different. And, the reasoning behind it, I don't know if people know, the reasoning was they claim was a safety issue, that they didn't want blocking. They wanted to eliminate like boxing out under the basket, but that's part of basketball. That's basketball. I just didn't agree with it, but that's NFHS. They came up with it and the state adopted it. I don't like it.
Turnover by Passaic gives the ball back over on offense to Fort Lee. There's a breakdown defensively for Passaic and an easy lay-in there for Jacob Greenberg. Game is tied at 51 all.
Greenberg to Greenberg. All right, gotta love that.
Now, how can Passaic solve this Fort Lee defense? Well, it helps when you have a player the likes of Justin Griffin. He simply did not settle for the three. He took it all himself. And the and one now opportunity for a 3-point play.
Griffin keeps that dribble so low. I mean, a couple guys went to smack at it, but you can't get it. The only way to try to get him is try to step in front of him, and, he's pretty shifty, so.
Griffin too strong on the foul shot. Vickers will eventually bring down the rebound. Justin Griffin, 16 points for the junior guard for Passaic, has given his team back a 2-point lead. Wyatt, nice touch there. Vickers, one of his rare opportunities where he could not finish inside, but he does draw the foul, and that's going to be the 4th team foul against Passaic. So the Indians, Coach, have no more fouls to give for the rest of regulation.
Yeah. Now Fort Lee's going to be shooting 2 the rest of the way. Vickers looked like he was expecting some contact there because he usually finishes that play.
Urena got called for the foul. That is his 3rd personal. As we mentioned, Passaic, that is their team foul number 4. Fort Lee has only fouled twice so far here in this 4th quarter. As Guy Vickers, the leading scorer in this game for all players with a game-high 26 for the Bridgemen. 16 points for Justin Griffin on the other side as Passaic trying to bring home their first win of the season. If they do win this game, they will play Memorial in the semifinal round. If it's Fort Lee, they will take on the Tigers. The loser of this game will take on Bergenfield in our second game tomorrow. And you can watch all 4 Day 2 games in the same space on YouTube, on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. First two consolation games will be played at 12:30 and then 2:15, and then we will have our semifinal action at 4 and at 5:45 tomorrow. That's coming up here on day 2 coverage of the Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. Bridgman down by 2, 53-51, 3:31 left to go in regulation. Max Greenberg will inbound on the baseline. Right inside to Guy Vickers. And Passaic had no idea that it was going to the man who now has 28 points. Kind of a head scratcher.
I wonder if Coach Ford stole that from his college coach, Chuck McBreen, because Chucky has some of the best inbounds plays, and boy, did that work well. That's a big basket.
53 all. Griffin just tries to wildly throw it up to the rim, and he drew the contact, and Griffin once again, when push comes to shove, he's just taking it down, initiating the contact, and smartly getting to the foul line.
He got fouled 4 times on the way to the basket, but the kid is strong. Tonight he's fast, he's strong, and finally the last one, they hammered him, and he got the shot up.
As I always like to say, Coach, especially even in basketball, on a play like that when it's so physical, I think he also picked up the first down as he ran right through all the defenders as he'll knock down the first foul shot. He's 2 of 3 at the line. He's got 17 points, and Passaic back in front by 1.
He didn't go down on first contact, right?
Not at all. He's been impressive here, the junior, has given Passaic back the lead, knocking down a couple of clutch foul shots. He's got 18.
Got a real good game.
Finally, in this tournament, first competitive game, last game of day number 1. Fort Lee went 1-2 in the tournament a season ago, trying to win this first game here and punch their ticket to the semis. There's a steal by Griffin. Griffin left it short, and there's Bruden with the rebound.
It's a real good no call by the official, too. The kid initiated the contact.
Number opportunity for Fort Lee. They missed it, but Vickers inside vacuums it up. He's got 30 points.
Vickers taking over.
One of the players for Passaic was down behind the play. They were trying to say he got elbowed, but it was just a play on. I think it was the collision made between himself and Bruden. So Fort Lee had a 5-on-4 advantage. There's Griffin. Long 3, no good. Urena over the back. That's a big box out by Bruden, and that's the 15th foul as well.
We said we got to get a box out on the weak side. They finally did it. Now they got to make foul shots. And, again, there was that long 3. I mean, you feel like you're open, but that's a long shot.
It's kind of the old adage, live by the 3, die by the 3. And so it looks like Max Greenberg was the one who was fouled. He'll head to the line here for 2, 15 foul. And Greenberg doesn't even hit the rim as he swishes home that offering. 5 points in this game for Max. Has been playing in foul difficulty in the first half. Again, averages 13 points per game this year for his Fort Lee Bridgman.
That's 2 clutch foul shots. Again, both Greenbergs, they look very composed. They play very hard, and those are the kind of guys you want the ball in their hands at the end of the game.
57-55, Fort Lee has gone back on top. Both these teams trading the lead. It has been a topsy-turvy affair. It's been back and forth. This has just been great basketball. Again, these two sides met in the tournament in 2022. Fort Lee came away with a 59-49 win in the first round. They went on to play in the finals that year and eventually lost to North Bergen in the championship round. What was it like when you were coaching here, being part of this Jack Riley Holiday Tournament? So many great memories. And what was that like to be a host school when it was always this time of the season?
We had some tournaments here that were incredible. I mean, I sometimes said to myself, I'm bringing in too many good teams. I mean, we had St. Mary's Elizabeth, a powerhouse from Essex County, and we had teams coming in here that were just loaded. Ramapo used to come with Chris Sims, and I remember Phil Sims. He would sit right up there in the bleachers. This is a great tournament. It's 8 teams, and I just remember Dr. John Richardson, who hired me. One thing he said, he goes, "You never change the name of the Jack Riley Tournament." And, Jack Riley, he did a lot of stuff here years ago, and that's why this tournament will always be named after him.
A tournament that, you can see a little pushing and shoving, and after Bruden got called for the foul, it looks like a technical foul is going to be issued against Hassan Adams. He put his shoulder and put his arm on top of Bruden's head after Bruden had gone to the foul, called initially against him. So that's a frustration foul against Passaic, and you can't let your emotions get the better of you at this juncture in a game.
Nothing was happening. What are they doing? What's the kid doing? The ball wasn't even coming in yet. But like I said, I saw some stuff before, and you just can't do that with 2 minutes to go in a game.
Greenberg missing on the first foul shot attempt. He's 2 for 4 at the line here in this game, so a costly technical foul potentially for Passaic. And Greenberg will take advantage, 1 of 2. He's now got 7 points. But again, Bruden got called for the foul on the hold. Then before they could subsequently inbound the ball, Adams put his arm on top, resting on the head of Bruden. I don't know what he was thinking there. That was clear as anything.
Now, the ball after the tee should go to Fort Lee.
And here it is, just as you said.
See, those kind of plays.
A dead ball technical foul.
A coach will tell the player it's a selfish play.
But a missed opportunity by the Bridgemen. They had the high-low. Vickers finding Jacob Greenberg underneath, but it was too hot to handle and a turnover.
We're in for a interesting last 2 minutes.
Oh, buckle up here, fans. It's been a great one here in our 4th game of the day of day 1 of this 2024 Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. Passaic looking for their first win of the season. Fort Lee trying to go to a perfect 4-0 start. Adams takes his man right off the dribble, tried the reverse lay-in, no good. Tipped last touch out of bounds by Vickers. Defense collapsed there, and that was a very tough shot that Adams nearly pulled off.
I would love to see somebody take a charge.
That is something that I did back in the day. I was not a shot blocker, but I could take a charge of the best of them.
It's a lost art, and it's the biggest play in the game. Biggest play. Oh, no.
Somehow the defense stayed off of Griffin, and Griffin lays it in. Justin Griffin with 20 points in this game now, and it's a 1-point lead for Fort Lee at 58-57. The one man that you couldn't just lay off, and that's exactly what Fort Lee did. And Griffin just decided, I'm going to take this myself right to the rim. Full court pressure. Getting to Vickers. Vickers' strength holds on to it. Murray underneath to Bruden. Oh, that's a clean block. Jump ball, and it's going to be possession staying with Fort Lee. You heard a lot of the basketball getting hit there.
Coach Ford is not saying anything to the official. He's telling his own player, you got to move on. That's great coaching.
And Murray gets it stripped away. Here's Adams in the open floor, and Greenberg gets called for the intentional foul. Oh, what is that? I don't know why Max decided to do that in such a way that it was easily seen as an intentional foul. So it's going to be 2 shots and the basketball for Passaic.
Yeah, he could have just like
just do a bump foul.
Bumped them. But once you wrap your arms, which he went to do,
Emotions getting the better of some players here near the end of the game, and a costly missed foul shot there for Adams. 1 of 3 at the line in this game, so it still remains a slim 1-point lead for Fort Lee.
Both teams are getting, it's been in a very intense, emotional game, but the team here that's going to keep their head and, like I said, either step in for a charge or make a smart play somewhere, that's who's going to win the game.
Adams and Bruden are still going toe-to-toe with one another. They've got to be careful because you definitely know the referees are going to be watching those two. Here's Santiago, watched by Murray. Up top to Adams, the 20-point-per-game man. Here he goes into the corner to Griffin. Griffin has 20 in this game. Off balance, no good. Offensive rebound underneath, but Fort Lee comes out of the pack with the ball.
Great hustle, and they made him take a tough shot.
48.2 seconds left to go in regulation, knotted up at 58-58. And now Coach Ziemba, if you're Coach Ford, what are you drawing up here? What type of action? I would assume you're trying to find something to find Guy Vickers underneath.
With 48 seconds, you can't hold the ball. Not against this kind of team. They're not going to allow you. So you got to tell your guys, listen, and this is what's hard about high school sports. You got to go to Vickers, but are you allowing them to take an open three, or are you telling them just a layup? You know, the bottom line, this is how teams get better. You got to be in these kind of situations. I just think it's hard to hold the ball.
And if you're Coach Pamakala on the other side for Passaic, do you do what's worked for you where out of this inbounds, do you send just a rush of a double team at one of the guards for Fort Lee?
If I'm Passaic, I'm not changing what I do, because then I'm allowing Fort Lee to give Vickers the ball.
Here's Santiago with the dogged defense against Max Greenberg. Trying to get a 5-second call. Greenberg picking up the dribble. Here's Vickers at the elbow. Vickers taking his man off the dribble. Vickers left it short. And a rebound by Ruiz. Great defense there by Passaic.
The big guy for Passaic did a pretty good job on that play.
Here's Assad Adams. Will Adams be the one to finish this one off in thrilling comeback fashion for Passaic? Looks like the Indians are going to hold for one final shot. 10 seconds left to go. Here's Adams down the right side. Adams got a step, got it deflected away. Vickers still had it, but they said that he was out of bounds after he was trying to throw it back in play. So it's going to be Passaic with possession. 4.5 seconds left to go in regulation. And Coach Paul Pamakala will take the timeout to diagnose something up here on offense with 4.5 seconds left and neither team with a foul to give.
I guess the ref was right there. It looked like Vickers made a nice play, but the official was right there. Now, if you're Fort Lee, I mean, most of the time you play zone underneath. Everybody's got real good man-to-man plays. I mean, if you get beat here, you want to make sure it's on it's from something from the perimeter that's contested. You don't want to see anything coming down the middle. Yes. So I would think they'll go zone. And, you know, you just got to hope that you could contest the perimeter shot.
Now, I know Adams has been a 20-point scorer per game in the first 2 games of the year for Passaic, but I would think that you have to get into number 3's hand, Justin Griffin, just based on how long he's had some of these threes in this game.
I wouldn't doubt if somebody like that takes the shot, because, again, I would think Fort Lee's going to go 2-3 zone and not allow nothing down the middle. The other thing, and like I've been saying, if a kid gives a fake and drives to the basket instead of trying to block the shot, you got to step in.
And again, any foul could send Passaic to the foul line.
They're in a zone.
4.5 seconds left to go. There's Griffin on that near side. Looking for the outlet. It got deflected away. Here's a chance for Greenberg. He launches, and it goes off the top of the stanchion. No good. He probably had a little more time than he even thought he did. And regulation is not enough. We will have extra basketball here on our 4th and final game of day number 1 of this Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. Coach, this has lived up to the billing. What a great game between these two teams.
Great defense by Fort Lee at the end. They didn't allow the ball, and they played the zone. And Greenberg made a nice play. I mean, he took the shot a little early, but it's hard for the kid to know that. I mean, the bottom line, the best thing that could have happened for them happened. And like we said all game, this is a tight game, and we're going to play a few extra minutes here.
Now you have one of the players in this game for Passaic, and Jeremy Urena has 4 personal fouls. That could be a concern for Coach Pamakala. And for Fort Lee, Vickers, he's been out of foul difficulty. Max Greenberg has 3. Jacob Greenberg has 3. You could still have a little luxury there of not having to bite your fingernails knowing that one of those guys, the next foul, he's out. But it'll be interesting to see after Passaic outscored Fort Lee 16-13 in that quarter to make this a 58-58 game after regulation. How do the strategies change, if at all, heading into overtime here?
I don't think you really change. I think Passaic is going to be aggressive. And, again, Fort Lee is – now they got Vickers on the high post, whereas, it seemed like last quarter he was the one playing behind the zone. There he is with a great pass. He's in trouble here.
Jacob Greenberg getting it out in time, but it's going to be a 3-second call. After it looked like it might have been Bruden who was camped out underneath after Vickers had gotten the ball in the far side wing.
See, the thing with that is they're not going to give 2 foul shots unless you get hammered. And then, but that as a coach, you're saying, well, wait a minute, my guy's getting hit. And then you call it 3-second. So that's where coaches get a little mad, but.
Works around. Passaic now trying to retake the lead. Adams inside the 3-point arc, no good. Bruden with a rebound.
Surprised he took that shot. The mid-range shot is a lost art in basketball. Kids don't shoot it much anymore.
Max Greenberg up top. Thanks for joining us for this exciting 4th game of day number 1 of the Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. Fort Lee trying to advance to the semifinals and move to 4-0 on the season. Here's Jacob Greenberg inside to Vickers. Vickers pump fakes, some contact, no call. But there's Bruden with a loose ball rebound. Last touch out of bounds off of Passaic. Possession will stay here with Fort Lee. Vickers was protesting the lack of a call, but you know who wasn't? Christian Bruden. He just out-hustled everybody for that possession.
Excellent point. You got to play through. You can't worry about a non-call. Because, again, these guys aren't going to put you on the line unless you get hammered right now. They want the kids to decide the game, and that's a foul. That's a foul.
Good sportsmanship here by Josh Santiago lifting up Jacob Greenberg, who got called for the reach-in foul. And quite frankly, Christian Bruden has done an exceptional job defensively here today, but that's what Passaic wanted. They want to make him into an offensive player, and that's not his forte.
Yeah, it's hard to drive that gap against them. They're very fast, and they actually backed off a little defensively. I think they backed off a little bit because of both teams shooting 2 shots.
That's the first foul shot missed by Joshua Santiago in this game, and right now on the scoreboard, they're saying 5 fouls for Jacob Greenberg. So they did not alert the referee before that. He was in the game for the missed foul shot. Obviously, it's not a 1-and-1. It's 2-shot foul, but Josh Ford will be given the opportunity to have a huddle quickly with his team because of the foul out. Vickers was taking his sweet time to come over to the huddle, but Jacob Greenberg fouls out of this game. 12 points, second leading scorer in this game for Fort Lee.
That's a big loss for Fort Lee, especially if we keep playing after this quarter.
Ehrlich will come on for
he's
him.
Their leader, really.
He was knocking down the threes. Jacob had 2 threes in this game. A 12-point outing for Jacob Greenberg. So Santiago missed on the first foul shot. Here's his second attempt to give Passaic the lead. And he does. Santiago with 10 points in the game. 59-58. Passaic on top. 2.5 minutes left to go in overtime.
Next time the ball goes to the big guy, I got a feeling they're going to blow the whistle. Just a guess here.
Ehrlich saving it from going out of bounds at a potential turnover. How do they get it to Guy Vickers? Here's Max Greenberg from deep. Almost banked it in, no good. Murray had his hand on it potentially, but it leads to a breakout the other way for Adams. To Griffin for 3. Air ball. There's a loose ball tie-up underneath. Bruden wrestling for that possession of the loose ball. Both teams showing the emotion. Going back to that shot, coach, I understand Griffin has knocked in 3 threes in this game, but that's where it's the change of basketball. Adams had his defender. He was trying to go maybe up for a layup, maybe draw a foul. Instead, he threw it out to a teammate for a longer shot.
That's high school basketball now, and you live and die by the 3. Both teams are hustling. I don't understand the call. Why they?
It looked like they officially made it a jump ball, so the arrow was in Passaic's favor. So the Indians will have it. Under 2 minutes left to go in first overtime. 59-58. Teams have traded the lead all throughout the game.
See here.
Adams trying to split the double team. No foul, and it's a traveling violation. And Adams is slow to get to his feet as well.
What happens in these situations, too, the kid, and as a coach, when you tell the kids that maybe we back it out a little bit after we play it in a certain way the whole game, now the kids get a little undecisive. Does he want me to go? Does he not want me to go? And, this is part of, it happens. It happens. They have a little hesitation, and you still got to keep playing. A minute 30 in this game is a long time.
Vickers not demanding the ball. Kind of surprised that I haven't seen him more active inside. Ehrlich nearly got it stripped away. Possession will stay with Fort Lee. 1:24 left to go here in OT. 1 point advantage for the Indians. Passaic looking for their first win of the season, let alone a win here in the tournament.
Passaic is extending the zone. They got to get the ball inside. They're pressing out more. He's got to be able to get it.
Greenberg up top. Greenberg get a foul called against Passaic, and that'll send Max to the line to shoot two. Max Greenberg today is 3 for 5 at the charity stripe. Interesting that they call that a foul after really letting a lot of other things go at the beginning of overtime. It's close enough to what you were saying. If it was a pass down to the big man, you were calling for the foul. That was kind of the same thing.
Listen, officials, they're human. And they like things to look the same on the scoreboard.
Exactly.
And if anybody who says they don't know what's going on with that, but I think they've done a great job controlling the game.
Greenberg knocks down a pair of foul shots. Clutch foul shooting for the senior. Max Greenberg up to 9 points in the game. And around we go. Fort Lee now taking back the lead, 60-59. 1:14 left to go here in overtime. First game that's gone to overtime. First game that, quite frankly, has been close throughout this first day of this Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. If you're just joining us in the first game of the day, Old Tappan blew out North Bergen. Second game, Wayne Valley blew out Riverdale. Third game, you had the rematch of last year's championship final, won easily by Memorial over Bergenfield. And in this one, it's been a white knuckler between Fort Lee and Passaic. Both teams trading leads late in regulation and in overtime here. And it's only a difference of 1 point. Dan Long, John Ziemba on the call for this one.
I'm interested to see if Josh Ford comes out and maybe a little soft press just to see if he could get them to take a quick shot. But it looks like they're dropping back.
Two main scoring threats for Passaic in the last couple of minutes has been Hassan Adams and Justin Griffin. Haven't really seen other complimentary scores. Josh Santiago gave them briefly the lead by 1 after he was fouled, and he hit 1 of 2 foul shots. But it's really primarily been Adams and Griffin as the ones who've been given the green light to shoot. And Coach Pamikala, I don't know what he's upset about.
Yeah, he's not happy about something, but I don't know why they're not out on the court.
Yeah. Fort Lee has their 5 on the floor, and Coach Pamikala, I don't know if he's trying to say that should have been his timeout, or he is upset right now. It was after the 2 made foul shots, so of course it's got to be an inbound on the baseline.
Number 11 here. Has he been in the game a lot? Rhea? No.
Christian Rhea has been in for only a little bit, 2 points in the game. He's been a hustle guy, though, on the offensive glass at times in this game. Here's Santiago. Griffin is out of the game right now. Griffin is not on the floor for Passaic. They take the 3, no good. Rebounded by Bruden, and Bruden's going to get called for the travel. I think that's the right call. He was hustling to it, but then shuffled his feet once he gathered the ball.
The speed of Passaic, he knew guys were coming, and probably the right call.
Still, I don't know if Griffin fouled out of this game. It didn't look like there was a foul call where number 3 in white had picked up his 5. He is not in the game right now. 35 seconds left to go. And that time, is it a foul? A late whistle. Adams made some sounds when he was falling down, and the referees bought it. I've never seen that, Coach, in times that all of a sudden a player makes a sound and then that elicits the whistle after he kind of lost his footing.
The only thing, and boy, oh boy, I don't say this much, and what the referee's thinking is he wants to see the kid be able to make the play, and then he must have felt that, you know, he was letting him go. Like I said, you got to earn a foul here, and it looked like he just stepped on the other kid's foot.
And to make matters worse, it looks like it was Max Greenberg's 5th personal foul, so both Max and Jacob Greenberg have now fouled out of this game for Fort Lee.
This is where the foul trouble will come in if we could play another overtime.
Adams will head to the line for 2. And he swishes home the first foul shot to deadlock the score at 60 all. Coach, to tell you how much this has just been a rock fight in overtime, 2 combined points for both teams. It was 58-58 after regulation.
Yeah, the kids are getting tired. They're playing hard. And
Adams,
this is where also you make mental mistakes.
Adams unable to give Passaic the lead, going 1 of 2 at the foul line. And it is a 60-60 ball game.
Here's where you got to get the last shot. I know easier said than done, but with 22 seconds, you don't want them to get the ball back.
Guy Vickers is still in this game. He's not in foul difficulty. He's got 30 points for Fort Lee. How can Fort Lee make sure that they get it into the hands of number 4? And for Passaic, they're looking to force a turnover, as you said, Coach. Also a concern for Coach Ford. How many bodies is he going to have on the floor for him if you can't approach this like you're playing for double overtime. You have to feel like you have to get it to your playmaker, you have to get it to your big man here and hope that either he makes the bucket or he gets fouled in the process, because if it goes to double overtime, things aren't looking good for Fort Lee.
If Bruton gets it and he's strong with it, they're going to foul him. Not Bruton, I mean Vickers, I'm sorry. If Vickers gets it and he gets it in position, they're going to mug him. And I think the referees, they'll call it. It's got to go into Vickers.
Especially if you're just looking for consistency, if you made that call on the foul against Greenberg that fouled him out where he just simply had Adams step on his foot, you got to call it both ways. Let's see if Fort Lee does something here to put the pressure on the officials and try to get this into Vickers.
Saying, and you got to call it both ways right now, you're saying. Get in the post.
Erla getting it up top to Daniel Wang, who's into the game for the first time all game. Bruton in the corner, 7 seconds left. They steal it away. Passaic with a chance for the layup at the end, and they score. Oh, a heartbreaking loss for the Bridgemen. Their first loss of the season. Christian Rea anticipated the pass, stole it, went down the other way, and the Indians win this one in walk-off fashion in overtime, 62-60.
Great game, tough way to lose, but the kids, I couldn't quite see who made the pass, and that's not the, but the Passaic team had put pressure on the whole game, and if they were going to win the game, I'm not surprised that's how they won it.
Now, are they conferring and saying that there should be time left on the clock here? The handshake line has not begun. Josh Ford was talking to the referee, and Josh started clapping his hands. There seemed to be some time that should have been still on the clock.
I thought there was something. It's not a lot.
Wow. So Christian Rea came into that game, anticipated the steal, And that was one of the cardinal sins of basketball. You can't telegraph that pass the top of the key as well.
See, again, it's the same situation. It's hard for kids to know when to go, when not to go in that situation.
It's almost like if you're going to turn it over towards the basket. If you're throwing it and it gets picked off in the middle of the lane, it's not a clear breakaway.
We call that a pick six turnover. Yep. And those are, obviously, that's a killer. Fort Lee they played a real hard game. Both teams did. But that, obviously that hurts. I don't know, maybe 0.8 seconds.
It looked like that was initially what they were putting back on the clock. It is 0.8 seconds left to go here in overtime. Fort Lee is going to need a miracle. They're going to need to have the inbounder get it down the floor and get a quick catch and shoot. They have enough time to do that. It can't be just under the 0.3, which is a tap-in. Fort Lee also having to do this without two of their best three-point shooters in Max and Jacob Greenberg. Here's Ehrlich with the heave, hits it into the ceiling, and Passaic will hold on for a 62-60 victory in overtime as the Indians will celebrate their first win of the 2024-25 season as they come here and they hand Fort Lee a heartbreaking loss in overtime, but again, not to be lost in all of this. The best game so far of this tournament, an exciting one. It's a shame that someone had to lose.
Fort Lee's going to get better and better as the year goes on. And Coach Ford, I think, is doing a great job. But give credit to the Passaic team and their coaches. They made the play at the end, and this is just how we figured this game, was going to come down. It was this way the whole way. Great game.
So Passaic will advance to the semifinals to take on Memorial tomorrow at 4 p.m. And Fort Lee will play tomorrow in the consolation bracket against Bergenfield, who lost to Memorial in the other first-round game earlier today. So that will end things here from East Gymnasium at Fort Lee High School. Despite a 30-point performance by Guy Vickers, not enough for the Bridgemen, who fall for the first time this season. They go to 3-1 on the year. Passaic will improve to 1-2 this season. So for Coach John Ziemba and our broadcast team of Dimitri Nanis and Renee Matisic, I'm Dan Long saying so long, and we'll see you tomorrow here for Day 2 coverage of the 2024 Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. Take care, everybody.